New South Wales Labor has slammed the state government's election promise to establish a future fund for kids. They've described it as a desperate attempt by the coalition to clinch a fourth term amid the cost of living crisis. Families could contribute up to $1,000 a year. The state government would chip in up to $400. Dominic Perrottet says by the time a child turns 18, they could have 49 grand in their account.
And here to discuss his idea is the New South Wales Premier Dominic Perrottet. Premier, the opposition's calling this scheme middle-class welfare. It's true, isn't it, that this will benefit wealthy parents more?
This will benefit every single child across New South Wales. Every child in our state will be better off. What we're saying as part of this policy is that we'll make a co-contribution. We'll match dollar for dollar every contribution made by parents, and today we announced grandparents as well, into their child's account. If there's a family on family tax benefits, which is around a bit over 300,000 families across New South Wales, we'll automatically make an annual $200 contribution into the account without a co-contribution from the family. So every single child in New South Wales will be better off. We don't do enough to help our children deal with the cost of education and housing. So this is a game-changing policy.
Premier, kids can cash their super fund when they turn 18, only on two things. So we're talking housing and education, but how do you actually control what people spend their own money on if they've been making these contributions to this super fund?
Well, it will be done through Service New South Wales. So particularly during the pandemic, when we've had a whole range of vouchers and support for small businesses, we've been very clear in relation to the auditing of those programs. So once the child is 18, they can use their fund to pay their HECS, to pay for textbooks, tuition, retraining. We know particularly as we move forward that our children will need to more than likely retrain over time, take up a master's degree. So that's where they'll be able to spend this fund on, and also to get them a leg up into the housing market. We know cost of living is becoming a real challenge, and we have an obligation to set up our young people to give them better opportunities than we have. I think everybody aspires to that.
What happens when a family moves out of New South Wales, when, say, the child's 16? What happens to the money then?
Well, the payments will stop, but obviously they can draw down on their accounts when they turn 18. So this is for children born in New South Wales. It's not complicated at all. This is for families. This is for families to go to Service New South Wales, set up an account. We will kickstart that account with $400 in every child's account, and we will match parents' contributions dollar for dollar up to $400, which will leave many children leaving school with $49,000 in their account.
It sounds great, but Premier, what if you have a child who isn't academic, they want to be a tradie, they don't want to buy a house, they don't want to go to uni, they need a ute when they turn 18 because that's part of their job. What happens then?
Well, tradies go into skills and training. That's exactly what this is for. In fact, many tradies and apprentices that I see on many of our government projects are enrolling in courses. This will make a real difference for them as well. What
if you don't want to study? What if your child doesn't want to study at all? They don't want to buy a house. They want to go travelling the world.
Obviously, Sarah. Well, this is not a holiday account. This is an account to help with education, to help with reskilling, to help with training, to help with home ownership.
Are you saying there's, in a situation where they go through this, they've got their $49,000, $50,000, whatever it is, they decide they don't want further training education, they want to do something else, start their own business, whatever, that doesn't require education, and they don't want to buy a house, or the housing market still is inaccessible to them, what happens to that money? So it's their money, but it's in a locked box and the state just holds it?
Yeah, it stays with them. It stays with them. It grows over time, and it can only be used for education, training, texts, tuition, and that support, as well as housing. That's what we've restricted it to. It's very similar to a scheme in Canada, where the same contributions are made for education. We've obviously increased it ahead of education and expanded into the area of home ownership as well. So it grows over time. Obviously, our contributions from the state government cease when the child turns 18 years old. But this is all about educating our children, training our kids into the future, and at the same time giving them a leg up into the housing market. So this is all about aspiration.
I understand the intent, but do you concede then that there will be cases where people cannot access their own money and the state will just hold on to it?
Well, there's been a substantial contribution from the state and from families across New South Wales to help with training, to help with education.
Sure,
it's exactly
but there's also a substantial contribution from them and from their families, and they can't even access that portion of it.
What's the definition of education? What if you want to go and learn to be a guitarist in a band? Is that education?
Well, there's accredited providers, just like we do with a whole range of other programs. This is about, and we're not forcing anyone to do it. We're saying to parents, if you'd like to set this up for your child, you can do so through Service New South Wales. We will kickstart that account with $400. We will match you dollar for dollar. And then when a child leaves school, they can use it for education, skills, training, and as well as home ownership. This is a wonderful program that will set up our children for future success.
Dom, Sam here, finally. The polls have the coalition trailing behind Labor at the moment, but you are still preferred Premier. Now, I don't know a lot about politics, but why don't you just become the leader of the Labor Party?
Because it's only the Liberals with a long-term economic plan to take our state forward, Sam.
Very good.
There we go.
That's the best disappointing answer we've had this year.
Right on message.
Straight bat, very straight bat. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks, guys.